Spanish middleweight champion, Juan Munoz Holgado. Stopped only once in his professional career, but it's not been a long pro career. He's only had 12 previous fights, Holgado, and yet he's 31 years old, and that makes him 10 years older than the slim and tall Mark Kaylor from West Ham. The Spaniard, one of those people who turned pro rather late, perhaps too late in life. Kaylor looking for his 19th successive win as a pro. Well, we shall see tonight just how well Munoz Holgado can soak up punishment, because as sure as could be, he's going to have to take some. He's well outreached. Actually, the last time Kaylor was beaten in the ring was in the Moscow Olympics, 1980. The Romanian Silagi beat him in the quarterfinals of those Olympic Games. So Kaylor has made as brisk a start as he could, and at the moment the Spaniard seems to pose few problems. And right on the bell, Holgado is hurt, and he goes down on one knee after the bell, and Mr. Jacobs, Mike Jacobs, the referee, gets him up and sends him to his corner, where he can have a proper rest on his stool.
Second out, round 2.
So some rather serious doubts have been sown in the mind of the Spaniard in the dark trunks, whether he can really handle this 21-year-old West Ham boy, Mark Kaylor, unbeaten as a pro, and in fact hasn't been taken, Kaylor, beyond 3 rounds in his last 5 fights. And that record could well be maintained here at the Albert Hall tonight. Former ABA middleweight champion, former National Association of Boys Clubs champion. I remember seeing, so I first saw Kaylor was in the old NABC championships, and again the delayed action. He's not right down, he's resting on one knee again. I don't think he's going to go on. No, he's had enough. All over. Second round, about 43 or 4 seconds of the second round, and Juan Munoz Holgado, who was the champion of his country earlier this year, has been outclassed by Mark Kaylor, who doesn't quite believe it could be as easy as that. But the potency of his punching clearly discouraged Holgado, and he showed it at the end of the first round, and he showed it there again early in the second. Just have a look. That was a tremendous bombing right hand, and that was it. He didn't go right down at any point, but what he did know was he wasn't going to get up. R.W. Smith is a good win. Kaylor in the white trunks, the former British and Commonwealth middleweight champion, now boxing as a light heavyweight against this bearded American from Kansas City, Charles Henderson. 29 years old, Henderson, 3 years older than Kaylor. And the American is a southpaw, boxes with his right fist and right foot forward. Well, Kaylor is clearly a happier fighter these days at light heavy. He was finding middleweight very difficult to stay down to, and he was telling me the other day in the gym that although he's a stone heavier now than he used to be, he feels as though it's all solid stuff, it's not fat. And that's right, he doesn't look any bigger than he was as a middleweight, and yet he's a stone heavier. Exactly 12-7 today, Kaylor, and Henderson 12 stone 5.5. to turn pro in the same year, 1980. Kaylor's had 40 fights, Henderson only 25, and of those he's lost 7. Looking aggressive and anxious to get this over. This is his 5th fight as a light heavyweight. Right hand from Kaylor. Closing seconds of this opening round. Dave Paris getting between them and asking them to stop the holding. Well, this man's had a most successful career. His last middleweight fight was in November '86. When Harold Graham beat him, and that decided him that his days as a middleweight were over. He spent the whole of last year as a light heavy, and he won 4 fights, 3 of them inside the distance, including a light heavyweight eliminator for the British title against Tommy Taylor, but Terry Lawless later withdrew him from the eliminators for the British title. He's had 40 pro fights, 36 wins, and 30 of those have been inside the distance, and just 4 defeats. His experience goes back to his amateur days when he boxed in the Olympic Games in Moscow in 1980, when he was ABA middleweight champion. Mark Kaylor from West Ham.
Second round, round 2.
Charles Henderson on the right in Kansas City. 6 of his 7 defeats have been inside the distance.
Come on, let go, Kaylor. You're holding.
He's met people like Marvin Johnson, the former world light heavyweight champion. He's met Pierre Cruz, the South African, Donnie Lalonde of Canada, both former world champions. So there's a lot of good names on Henderson's record. Henderson looks like the sort of fighter who could make life very difficult for him. Looks like a bit of a spoiler to me. High drop inside, messes you about.
Let go, Henderson.
I think Mark's got to stand off here and not get too involved in this sort of thing.
Let go, Henderson. You're holding. Break! Come on, step back. Can I say break? Break.
The inside of the glove too, Henderson. Now Mark Kaylor's got cut. Kaylor's cut on the left eye. So this is bad news for Kaylor in the early stages of this fight. Actually, he got that same eye cut in his first fight as a light heavyweight a year ago in this very arena, this very ring.
Let go, Henderson. Hold it.
So this is that cut has come about through all this inside mauling. And I said that Henderson was an awkward, spoiling fighter, and he's shown it now with that damage over the left eye of the former British middleweight champion. Terry Lawless and Frank Black going to work on it quickly enough. Well, they've seen that before, and there's no reason why he shouldn't come through after they've repaired it. But it shows how awkward and dangerous this man can be. Well, here's a bit of the action from that previous round. Whether we'll see, that might have been what caused that eye. That's a useful-looking punch, and it seemed to land just about in the area where the cut occurred. So Kaylor with a problem now. He must protect that eye against an awkward opponent.
Second out, round 3.
And the referee just asking for water to be cleaned up off the floor in Henderson's corner. Well, Mark will be anxious to get this opponent out of the way now, in case that eye gets any worse. That's not going to be easy. Showing signs of wear again. Kaylor's left eye bleeding again, just a little. Good left from Henderson. And Kaylor's running into trouble here. He's beaten James Shavers, Tommy Taylor, Jack Basting, and Jamie Howe in fights as a light heavy. But now in his first fight of 88, this American from Kansas City is giving him a lot of trouble. That was better. It was a good right hand, and he's hurt Henderson with it. And Henderson hanging on to stop himself going down, and suddenly Kaylor has transformed the fight with one right hand. And didn't he need to? And he's got him again. And it looks as though Henderson's going, and Dave Farris is waving his hands. He doesn't want to know anything about counting. Henderson is finished. And although he might have beaten the count, he wasn't in a fit state to go on. And Henderson comes across now to just to pat Kaylor on the back, and Kaylor now going over to reciprocate. Well, that finish did not come a moment too soon for Mark Kaylor, because he had trouble with that left eye, was bleeding again. He'd taken one rather good left hand shortly before all this happened, but it was a right hand when Henderson was trapped in the corner that started all the trouble. This is a bit later on, right at the finish, and he clearly was not in a position to continue, and Dave Farris had made up his mind about that as soon as he went down. So Kaylor's right hand has got him out of a lot of trouble. And Mark Kaylor, the former champion middleweight, gets his 5th win in his